Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In the last video we talked about comments in Python, and we also looked at some tricks that you can use in your code to make it look better both to the developers and to the user. In this video we are going to be going into the world of lists. We're going to be looking at all the operations you can do with lists. I'm also going to demonstrate some of them so that you can learn how to operate lists on your own. If you're ready for this video, don't forget to drop a like down below. Subscribe to this channel so that you do not miss any of your videos that are coming out. And also check out the links to my socials, which are going to be in the description. Anyways, let's get started. Alright guys, so let's quickly define a list. A list is a collection of items in a particular order. Just like you can have stuff in a bag, different kinds of things, you can also have different kinds of things in a list. In Python, square brackets indicate a list, and every single item in the list is separated by a comma. So let's define a list here. We're going to define a list called programming languages. And in this list, we're going to have Python, PHP, C++, JavaScript, and maybe we just add HTML. So we have 5 items inside our list. First thing we can do with this list is we can print the list, and when you do that, it's going to return all the items inside the list. But if you want to print a specific item, you have to get access to that item. To get access to an item in the list, all you have to use is tell Python the index of the desired item. Let's say we want C++, for example. We need to put the index of C++. Now the index is the number, the position of the item in the list. When counting the index, you don't start from 1, you start from 0. So instead of being number 3 as we can see on the list, it's going to be number 2 because the first one is 0, second one is 1, and third one is 2. So don't forget, whenever you're using lists in Python, always start from 0. Now when you print number 2, as you can see, we get C++. So that is how to access specific items in a list. You can also use list and F strings like we discussed in the last video or 2 videos before. We learned how to use F strings. This also applies to lists. When you set up an F string and use a list inside of it, it's going to work because the list is a variable and we're just accessing a file inside the list. The methods in the list also work. The .title, .upper, and .lower, they all work using list and F strings. So just keep that in mind. If you need some extra formatting options, you can use all those methods. Now if you don't know those methods, you can check out my last video where I discussed many of them in more detail. But now let's move on. So let's talk about modifying items in a list, changing them. So let's go back to our list with programming languages. Now in this programming language list, we have these 5 languages. Now to change the value of a list item, you have to treat it as a variable. So first up, you have to access the list item, which is list and then the index, and then you treat that as its own variable and change its value. For example, let's say we want to change the HTML to Ruby, for example. We're just going to access the item in index number 4, and then we're going to give that a new value of Ruby. Now what does this do? It changes the value from HTML to Ruby. It deletes the HTML from the list and replaces it with Ruby. The list is still 5 items long, so the HTML is deleted completely. Now let's say you don't want to remove the HTML, you just want to add the Ruby to the list. To do this, you're going to have to use another method called append. Append simply allows you to add items at the end of the list, which will add another element, increasing the length of the list by 1. So let's say you want to add HTML back. All you have to do is programming languages .append HTML. Enclosed in brackets, and since we're using strings, we're also going to enclose that in quotes. Now this makes it easy to build dynamic lists. For example, you can start with an empty list and then append all your items inside. That also works fine. But unlike appending an item into the list, let's say you want to insert an item into a specific position in the list without removing the item at that position. Let's say we want to put another item in position 3. Instead of C++, we want Java. Inside that list now, to do that, we're going to need another method called insert. The insert appends the item into a specific position and pushes all other items to the right. So it shifts them and increases their indexes by 1. So let's say we insert Java into index 2. That is going to put Java there, but then shift all the others to the right, increasing their indices by 1. So that's how you insert items into a list. Let's say you want to remove items from a list. You can easily remove any item from any position in a list using the del statement. You can use it to remove any item. All you need is the index of the item, and that will remove the item from the list. That's pretty easy. But another method you can use is the pop method. Pop method is going to remove the last item in the list, but it lets you use the item after it's removed. So let's say you have items in a bag. You can just remove one item from that bag and you can still use it. It's not going to delete as the other method did. If you want to use the items that have been removed from your list, then you don't want to use the delete method, you want to use the pop method. So let's say we want to remove the HTML at the end because it's epic, and we also want to use it after it's been removed so that we can print it to the user. For example, you want to pop it out. Now the pop doesn't take any parameters. All you need to do is define a variable as list.pop. So you're using the pop method as the variable value. What this is going to do is it's going to remove the last value from the list and set it to the value of the variable. When you do this, you're going to get the HTML into a variable, and now when you use it, you can print the variable out and it's going to print out HTML. Another thing you can do is you can remove items by value. So you can take them out depending on the value they have. To do this, you're going to need the remove method. It removes the item which has the value in parentheses. So list.remove, and it's going to do that for you and remove the specific item no matter where it is in the list. Now this is useful when you're working with bigger lists. It can help the process become much easier. You can also use a variable in your remove statement. Instead of removing the string inside, you can set the value of a variable to the item you want to remove, so that if you would need to print it out anytime soon, you can use the variable that you have. One thing to know is that if you have multiple things in the list, the remove method is only going to remove the first occurrence of it. The first time it sees it, it's going to remove. So it's not going to remove all of them. You might need to loop through that for it to work, but it's just going to remove the first one, just for you to keep in mind. Now there are a lot of fun things you can do with lists so far. So go crazy with your ideas, get practicing, and most importantly, have fun with the code. Anyways guys, that should be it for this video. I want to keep it short and simple. In the next video, we're going to be talking about sorting lists, and we're going to be looking at the different things we can do with the order of the list. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel so that you do not miss any more videos like this. Anyways, stay happy coding, and I'll see you in the next video.